Today we're going to be doing circle graphs. The first thing we're going to do is look at our circle itself and see what information is given to us. So when we look at this particular circle graph, we can see that we have favorite states to visit, and all circle graphs, when we trace the whole thing, it's going to be 100%. So circle graphs are always out of 100%. Now, when we're looking at this particular one, we see that we have Florida, California, Colorado, New York, North Carolina, and other, and they all have the percentages given to them. When we look at the problem A, it tells us that we have 400 students, and we're wanting to know how many more total students were surveyed than favor visiting Florida. So we're going to look at the total number of students and visiting Florida. When we see this 400, I'm going to write that down here. That is the total number of students. That makes our 100%. Now, I don't know how many kids visited Florida, but I know the percent right here is 38. That's going to go right there. So now we have 38% out of 100, and we don't know the number of students, so that's X. So you're going to do the cross multiply divide. So you're going to multiply 38 times 400, and you can do keep it simpler, do 38 times 4, then add 2 zeros. That should give you 15,200. Now we have to divide it by the 100 that's left over. When we divide by 100, we can remove the 2 zeros. 1, 2. So 150 kiddos, 152 kiddos, like Florida. It's asking how many more. That means we're subtracting. So we're going to do 400 minus 152. That gives us 248 kids who more that liked other states than Florida, really. So the next problem still says we have a total of 400 kiddos, and we're going to look at New York, and we're going to look at Colorado. So we want to know the ratio of New York kiddos to Colorado visits. When we look at New York, it's 7% out of 100. And when we look at Colorado, it's 15% out of 100. So we can set this up, the ratio is 7% to 15%. We can also find the numerical value of those. So if we set that up to x over 400 and x over 400, cross multiply, and then divide. So we're going to do 7 times 400, and then you divide that by the 100, and that gives you 28 kiddos here. And over here, you're going to do 15. Keep it easy. You can do times 4 and then add the 2 zeros, but then we drop them right back down. So that's 60. So the ratio is 28 kids to 60 kids. And of course, we could simplify that when we write that as a fraction. So, sorry, this is getting kind of messy here. 28 over 60. Simplify that out. So we can divide both of those by 2. So we have 14 over 30. Yet again, we can divide by 2. So that gives us 7 over 15. So 7 over 15. And look, that's the same percentages that we started with. So that's our fraction. If we do 7 divided by 15 to get our percent, because it has for percent in a decimal, it would be 0.47 as a decimal, and that makes it 47%. All right, let's go to the next one. On this particular graph, we looked at, we see we have the number of people in the household. And once again, keeping in mind that the whole circle is going to be 100%. We see percentages on the side. The first problem we look at says that we have a total of 250 households. So that 100 will equal 250. And we want to know how many households, how many more households have 1 television than 3 televisions. So let's look at these televisions. How many liked 1? Well, we have 32, but that's a percent. And then how many liked 3? Or have 3, I'm sorry. We have 24%. So let's set those up. We have 32% out of 100 equals x over 250 for the 1 television house. So we're going to do 32 times 250. That gives us 8,000. Then we're going to divide that by 100. So that gives us 80. So this right here is worth 80. Then we're going to do the same thing for the 3 televisions. So we have 24 over 100 I lost my screen. And that equals x over 250. So you're going to do 24 times 250. Remember, this is a proportion. Then divide it by the 100, and that gives us 5, which does not sound right. So let me try that again. 24 times 250 divided by 100 gives me 60. That sounds right. I did a miscalculation there. That's asking how many more. So now we do 80 minus 60 equals 20 more people. Well, the second one here, letter B, it's once again out of 250. What fraction of the total number of households have 3 televisions? Well, we just calculated for 3. So that's 60 out of 250. We can also do it as a fraction. We have 60 out of 250. Otherwise, you can look at it as the percent as a fraction too. Now, 24 over 100 can be simplified. When we divide that by 2, it's 12 over 50. We divide that by 2, it's 6 over 25. So 6/25. Could have done the same thing if you set it up with the information given to us by numbers. We did 60 over 250. Divide by 10, that's 6/25. Same answer. Data sets could start different, but they are equivalent. So it still works out the same. The last question here says that we have 250 people once again. And how many more households have 2 or more televisions than less than 2? All right, so 2 or more. So we're looking at all these pieces because 32% have less than 2, which is just 1. So the total that have it are 68% out of 100 equals. So we have this over x. So 68 times 250 gives us 17,000. We divide that by 100. So we have 170 people have 2 or more. And we'd already calculated we have 80 who only have 1. So we're going to do 170 minus 80. And that equals 90. So we have 90 people who have more people who have 2 or more televisions.